Okay, this is Randy and Randy Sprinklers. We're going to look at a old new um, Royal Coach. It says Royal Coach right there. It has this number. I don't know if that is it's like 500131. And then on the arm, it says model 10001, Fresno, California. So it looks pretty much standard, normal, whatever you want to call it. Maybe nothing special. Um, okay, so this is an older style sprinkler um, with a spoon arm. And here's one of the catches is you don't see a spring in on the bearing here. So this spins around nice and freely. And the reason for that is because it has this old style fiber washer. So we're going to take this off, which I already had loosened up earlier. And I want to show you. So the bearing and the nipple, although this has maybe a little bit of a ridge in there. And it may not look like shiny perfect, but it's smooth. So here's the washer. And I don't know how close I can make that so you can see it, but this is what I call a fiber washer. Kind of fibrous on the edges all the way around. It's supposed to be rubber. I think this is kind of a little bit like a tire that we would have in our car. But because of this design washer, we don't need a spring on this. And I want to compare that washer to, this is an SU. What I wanted to show you is this has a spring in it, and it's because of this style washer setup. So it has a black washer, which is a rubber washer, and then it has a nylon washer. And that kind of gives it the smooth turning. But unlike this one, the Royal Coach, this is hard to turn. I can turn it, but it's hard to turn. So this is going to be interesting to see how this works with the fiber washer. It doesn't need a spring. And this is the way the sprinklers were done years ago, was with the fiber washer. So I want you to see that. And we will tighten that up just enough. And so I don't think there's really anything else special about this other than the fact it has no diffuser. And this deflector is very loose. So there's a good chance that when the water hits it, it's going to come up. But we will see. And I don't know if there's really a way to tighten it unless I were to put take that apart and put a screw and lock washer in there, which can always be done, I guess. Right now, that's not the issue. Now, here's the other part. For me, I like the arm to be on the looser side. So what I'm going to do is see if we can do this while we're watching. So I don't know if you can see where the spring is tied in here and the spring is tied in down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is try and minimize that. And I'm going to get my pliers underneath there. Now, this is not quite like in the old days. With a stainless steel spring, they don't bend quite as easy, but they do bend. And you can see I took and bent that enough to get it to go back just a little bit more. So you can see that there's a little bit right there. Right there. I've minimized that a little bit. But we're going to do the same thing down here. Okay, let's see. So you can see I've bent it enough. Maybe not quite enough. All right, so I've gotten this down just a little bit. It takes a little bit of effort to get it quite kind of where you want it. So let's see. So I don't know if you can see the difference. So just a lot less, not too much up there. And so the tightness on it's not probably quite as loose as I wanted, but this may be sufficient. So for the test, so I used this pair of pliers. It's short needle nose, and I'm going to take this pair of pliers and try to compress that piece on the arm a little bit. Yeah, that worked. So just trying to flatten this a little bit here so that it is flat. It still has quite a bit of spring. And one of the things I showed before is I used to years ago with the old style springs is you could go like this, like that, push it and trying to adjust the tension of the spring to go the other way. But that doesn't work so well with the stainless steel springs. They're really tight. They're really stiff in a way, I guess is probably maybe a better way to put it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this out on the stand and we're going to make a quick test. We're in the sun here, so it kind of makes it a little bit difficult, but we will stop this. Okay. So I'm not sure what the limitation is on this. Moves pretty slowly. Kind of windy today. We'll see if it goes past this point here because it looks like it's stopped. It is not moving. That is not moving very well. And right now, it looks like it's not moving at all. So let's see, is it moving or not moving? Well, it looks like it's actually moving. There you go. And so you see that little bit of a leak at the bottom there coming out from the bearing itself. Um, and that's kind of one of the problems with that fiber style washer. That fiber style washer had a tendency to leak just because it's fibrous and there's, a little kind of, it's a rough washer. So as much as I wanted this to be a single test and it looks like it's a failure, unfortunately, and I would not have expected that on this particular sprinkler. Um, but I'd be willing to bet that if I change out the base from the SU63 and put that on there, it probably would work. And so we're going to make that test. All right, well, here it is with the different bearing and nipple with the spring and everything. So let's just see how this works. So it's moving very slowly, but is it actually moving enough? So it seems to be stuck. I'm not sure if it's actually moving. Really slow. But I would call this, again, still a failure. So there's a design flaw with this particular sprinkler or something. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, look, it is going. The SU63 worked better than this, but and this kind of surprised me because this I did not expect. And even with the looser spring, um, it would have actually worked better, and it didn't. Interesting. You can see it's a little windy today. So it's making the full rotation. Let's see if it makes it through another cycle here. And when you see the video, if you have any ideas as to what you think may or may not work for this particular sprinkler, I'd be interested to know. Um, I don't think that this arm has a lot of power in getting the sprinkler to move, but it's really slow. I mean, this is a lot like an old Rainbird 25. The design is similar. I'm surprised that the deflector, though, didn't get pushed up because it appears so loose, but it's working. And the sprinkler is moving against that. There you go. And we're getting a lot of the wind against the camera. And it's on my legs too, but that's okay. Look at that. Now, I didn't think the SU63-D was very fast, but this is even slower. So we will call that a video. Oh, this is the SU63-D with the microfiber washer and the bearing and sleeve from the Royal Coach sprinkler that would not work. And you see this is using that same bearing and sleeve and washer, and it works beautifully. As a matter of fact, this works better with the fiber washer than it did with the with its own bearing and nipple and the spring between the body and the bearing. I mean, this is acceptably better. I haven't quite figured out why the Royal Coach didn't want to work, but I'll have to do some playing around with it. Let's see if I can get it close up here. I don't know if you can see that the bearing does not have the spring on it. That is the bearing from the Royal Coach. And of course you can see some of the water leak because of the fiber washer. Okay, good enough.